Anthony Hartwig here with episode 7 of Coach's Corner with Nick Blanch for the Pullman Lady Bulldogs. Nick, thanks so much for joining us this week. It's good to have you back.
Always appreciate you having me, Anthony. Thank you.
You got a couple things to recap. Since the last time we talked, you finished the regular season with the game at South Range, and then you open your tournament play on Saturday a week later with a win. Let's talk about this second matchup with the Raiders. You split the regular season. We've talked about this matchup for almost, I feel like the whole season we've been talking about South Range Poland. Such evenly matched teams. Not surprising at all that you two split. What kind of differences did you see in game 1 to game 2 that kind of went not your way the second time?
We just didn't make shots down the stretch, but I'll be honest with you, I was very proud of my kids. Like I said, we win some games, and I'm not real happy because I don't think we gave our best effort forth, and we just coasted to get through the game and did bare minimum. And there's times we lose, and of course, you always feel you could do better. And sure, you want to win them all. I get that, but at the end of the day, I really was pleased with our kids. We got good looks. South Range played a great game, especially defensively. I mean, they were all over us. We got some decent looks, and we just didn't cash them in that time. But that was okay. I mean, nobody goes out and says, all right, let's lose today. A team on 3, 1, 2, 3 team, let's lose, It just happens that way sometimes, and it was just a lot of people were just caught back by that. And, we went from the first game where we had no chance to play them in a lot of people's eyes. Then we beat them, and then we lose the second time, and it's like, what happened? We just didn't make shots. I mean, credit to them. They played it was a good basketball game. It wasn't like an offensive explosion when it's 35-25. Neither team, is going to do that. But defensively and physically, I mean, that was a physical game. And you have two of the top players in the area scoring a combined 15 points in that game. I mean, Jackie had 10 and Izzy had 5. I mean, there's not many times that's going to happen. I'd be willing to look back in Coach Fischel's books here and see the last time Izzy was held to 5 points when she played a full game. And Jackie doesn't get held to 10 very often. I mean, it was a great defensive basketball game, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I have zero negative feelings about losing that basketball game. I'm proud of my kids. They tried their best. It just didn't work out. And, I have no problem splitting with a program like South Range. They're just like us. They play hard, and they're going to give you everything they got. Sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. But grateful for the opportunity, to say the least.
Before the game, there was a really cool moment where the Raiders and Izzy Lamparty presented your trainer with, a gift basket just to commemorate the role that she had during Izzy's injury earlier in the season and just to thank her for everything that she did. What did seeing that moment from an opposing team and kind of the whole game, seeing the mutual respect between the two programs outside of the 32 minutes kind of do for you as a coach?
Well, that's what you do. I mean, we have mutual respect between the programs. I mean, that's the first thing we teach is respect, and I know Jeff does the same thing over there. But I'll tell you what, I've never been happier to see those two people in my life because, number one, when that accident happened, if Kirsty wouldn't have been there, you have a bunch of coaches standing around and we're waiting a half hour, 45 minutes for the ambulance to get there. I mean, what do you do for the kid? And luckily there was some medical personnel in the stands, but to have that trainer there from the start and run out there right away, I mean, that's as good as it can get for everybody. And that, to have that second game and have Izzy back on the floor, of course, that was special too, just to see her back, because that could have been a very ugly situation. And I know I was very concerned, as well as my coaches and players and, just the fans in general. So just to have those two come back together, I'm not even sure how much Izzy remembers of Kirsty being there, to be honest with you. But it was such a blessing to have her there from the start. She was calm. She knew exactly what to do, what the protocol was. And that is so much better than Jeff and I standing around Izzy saying, hey, are you okay? Or what hurts, And then, losing responsiveness, that's not what we do. So, that was just great. And for them to show that respect towards her, it just shows you how grateful everybody was, for her role in that too. And that Izzy's okay to be back, So like I said, just, I would expect nothing less than a classy move like that from South Range.
And then even during the game, I mean, it was clear that both teams really wanted to beat each other. But then between the whistles, after a physical play, they would be helping each other up. The sportsmanship in that game was just way above the line of what you would normally see in a basketball game. Talk on that and what you see from both sides and how proud that makes you as a coach to see your players go hard against a really physical team that you know they want to beat, but then also have the sportsmanship and the respect to let that go after the whistles and in between the whistles.
I think that's the most important thing we teach these kids is respect. I really believe that, like, because you're teaching them life lessons and how to work with others, how to be competitive, but you don't need to be disrespectful. Being an idiot towards somebody or shoving them down or giving a cheap shot, that doesn't get you any further ahead. I'm very proud of my kids for that because they've been like that throughout the year. They know what I expect. And I want them to be good people, and they are, and I'm very blessed with what I have. I have good kids. Sometimes they're so nice that it's hard to get them to be physical. Like we have to yell at them to get them to do something aggressive because it's not in their nature. So it's finding that balance of when to go hard, but then when the whistle's done, the play is over. There's no point in not helping someone up or checking on someone to see if they're okay, or it's just being a good person. Yeah, it's good sportsmanship, but like if you saw somebody fall outside, would you just walk by and be like, oh man, did you see that guy fall? I mean, no, you go over there and you help the person. And are you okay? Can I help you with this? I mean, just be a good person. And like I said, we both have really good kids in our program, and I know that Jeff would say the same about his. But I'm very proud of that. And I'm more proud of that than even if we would have won the game. I mean, that's what I expect from the kids, and they know that. We talk about sportsmanship all the time, even as far as coaching goes. I talk to them about some of them are going to be coaches. And some of you may have good teams. Some of you may have teams that are down. But when you're on the upswing, don't be that person who got to feel like you got to put 110 on that team just to prove a point. You got to keep your starters in. We talk about those things now. I mean, it may sound bizarre to talk about those things, but I don't think so. Like the kids have to live in that moment now. Like, hey, girls, this is why we're subbing right now. Like this is why you don't need to play 4 quarters varsity. You need to be a good teammate and go cheer for the kids who cheer for you all the time. Be happy for someone else other than yourself. And those are lessons we talk about throughout the year because I really believe that's important. It's if you're only worried about yourself, it's going to carry over into other things you do in life, and you're going to be that person that nobody really wants to be around.
I know you are the last person to talk about streaks and what the streaks mean, and I wasn't going to ever bring it up while it was going on, but the loss of South Range did break a 40-game win streak inside the conference. Since it really started, you guys hadn't lost a game inside the NE8. Talk about, now that you can reflect on it, it's over, you don't have to worry about it anymore. What did that kind of dominance inside the league mean to you in it's a really good league, a lot of talent in the league, but you guys were able to band together and draw that out for 40 games in almost 3 complete seasons?
Yeah, it's credit to the kids once again. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job. They bought in, and we just take it one step at a time. I do not get caught up on that because, like I said, it really at the end of the day, what does that really get us? You know what I mean? It's those kind of things. Sure, it's special, and I'm not acting like I don't care about it at all, but it's definitely something I would never focus on and say, we got to win this. We got to win 41 in a row. It's not important. Live in the moment, do your best that night. I'm proud of those kids. And now we've set the bar for the league. Like right now, people that are keeping those records, I mean, right now the Poland girls have won 40, 41, whatever it was in a row. And now that's the bar. That's the standard. Like someone else who's, a chaser for those things, they've got to chase Poland now to try and do that again. And that's not easy. I mean, it hasn't been easy. Like I said, it's exciting that we did that, but it's definitely not what we set out to do. We just want to be the best team that night. And it's just we've been fortunate that we've been higher scoring than other teams more than we haven't, and like I said, I'm happy for our kids. I know that they were disappointed to see the record break, especially our seniors because they didn't want it to end on their senior year, but I told them you got nothing to be disappointed about. Not many teams are ever going to come close to that, number one. And number two, it isn't like we lost to a team that didn't earn it. You know, I mean, we both battled and we just fell short. We have nothing to hang our heads about. And we've moved on, and now we're, you know, in tournament mode right now. But like I said, special, but it's over, you know, and all good things must come to an end.
Now, you had a week after that loss to get ready for your first tournament game. I'm wondering, ending the regular season on a loss, were you trying to get a game in that week just to try to get them back on the floor after a loss, or are you kind of happy that you got them into a gym for a week to kind of have the team together to wash away that loss before tournament time?
We actually tried to get a game, and we actually had a great game lined up. Thursday night of that week, we were going to play Kennedy Catholic, and I had talked to their coach, and we had it all lined up, and they were coming to Poland, and we were excited, and it would be a great tune-up. And then the weather hit and pushed everything back and out, and it just didn't work out for us. So that was a bummer, especially this time of year, sitting around for a week waiting to play. But we didn't want to take that first round game because, we're rolling the dice against maybe, again, we figured one of the teams at the bottom of the bracket would end up getting us. So you have a team there that you're rolling the dice. Are they going to do the concussion or the COVID protocols and things of that sort and keep your team safe? Or are you going to get a call on Thursday and say, hey, your season's over, this girl tested positive, which could happen against anybody. But we knew if we played Kennedy Catholic, they have aspirations like us to make a good tournament run. We know they're doing the right things. So we were able to take that bye and still look for a quality opponent. It just worked out where Kennedy was looking for a game, and it would have been a great game to get. But who knows? Now you're allowed to play regular season games after tournament games this year. So we still need one game, and maybe we'll do that. I'm not focused on that at all right now. I'm just focused on West Geauga and trying to play Saturday night afterwards. But who knows? I would be excited for that opportunity as well because they are a well-respected program, well-coached program, and it's just another opportunity for us to play together.
Let's talk about this tournament game, the win over Jefferson. You get to play a league opponent to open the tournament for the second time in a row. Last year was Struthers. This time it was Jefferson, and a team that's a little bit improved from the last time you saw them, but you were able to take care of business, win 53-35. What did you see out of the first kind of tournament action from your team?
First of all, I'm going to give Coach Firman all the credit in the world. I mean, that guy, he works so hard. I mean, he coaches those kids, and those kids that just believe in him and his message, his system, and they have gotten so much better as the year has gone on, and even from last year to this year, and as this year went on, they came and they gave us a 4-quarter game, and I loved every minute of it. And I told him after the game, I congratulated him. And I thanked him for that opportunity because if they would have just came over and rolled over and played dead for us, our kids play a quarter and a half, maybe 2 quarters, and then they sit the rest of the game and the younger kids finish it. They gave us a 4-quarter game, allowed us to get our legs back from a week off of playing, which you can't simulate that in practice. And we went after it and for 4 full quarters, and they got us better. I mean, they gave us a couple of times they made a nice little run on us, and we were struggling with them. And like I said, I really appreciated that, and I gave him a lot of credit and praise, and I still do. I mean, he's doing good things over there, and Jefferson's going to make some noise here in the years to come. I really believe that. They're young, a lot of kids coming back, got some good athletes. But again, as far as our kids go, they did a nice job. We played 12 kids. We rotated them around, and they all did their point. I mean, we had 11 out of the 12 score that night. And the kid who didn't score got some rebounds and some assists. So everybody pitched in, and I was very pleased by that. That's all you can ask for. Again, they're giving me everything they possibly can. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to play for 4 full quarters and have to make decisions, call timeouts, do those things at tournament time. So we get no better if we just win by 40. So hats off to them, and I appreciate once again what our kids are doing to survive and advance.
Now you have West Geauga coming into the Poland Fieldhouse on Wednesday. And, man, West Geauga, seed-wise, it was an upset over Mooney, but we all know that West Geauga, what they did last year, what they returned, probably seeded that low just because of the fact they didn't get a lot of games in. I'm sure you've looked at film from West Geauga between Saturday and now. What kind of things do you see on film, and what should Poland fans expect from this matchup with the Wolverines?
This is going to be a great basketball game. They're 22-4 from last year, and they got eliminated by Perry, who's the number 1 seed right now in this year's tournament. They brought everybody back, so they're loaded. They got 4 girls that are 6 foot or taller. So, they're big. They got size. They're athletic, and they love the 3 ball. I mean, those 6 footers, they're behind the arc, and they're going to lift it. But they're, like I said, they work hard. They have high aspirations. I mean, like I said, and the 11th seed, I mean, at the time they were like 2-1 or 3-2. They only played like 4 or 5 games at the time of seeding. So they are absolutely not under the radar as far as we're concerned. We knew, because we voted for them. I believe we voted for them as like a 6 seed or a 7 seed. Like I really felt you can't give them a really high seed as only playing 3, 4, 5 games. But we knew they were loaded. So when they got the 11th seed, they came our way, and which is great. I mean, I love the challenge. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Not everybody's going to be there, but I'm sure YSN's numbers are going to be up on this one. And Marlington and West Branch on the other side. Really, those are going to be 2 great basketball games. And the people that win that night, they're going to earn both those games and advance on Saturday night. I'm looking forward to the challenge, because as you know, we're the mighty midgets. We're not gonna have them 6 footers to match up with them, but we got a lot of heart, and we always believe in the phrase heart over height. And no excuses. It's playoff time. Anything can happen. Go play your butt off and see what happens at the end of 4 quarters.
You're not a stranger to having height disadvantages. You haven't had quote unquote height in a while on your roster. So what kind of things, just from your perspective, do you do to counter that when a team comes with 4 6-footers and you don't have the size, but you can have the work ethic? What kind of things can you do to counter the size that West Geauga has?
It's like I said, we preach hard all the time. I can't coach that. You either have it or you don't. How bad do you want it? Is it always the excuse that this person has this and I don't? Well, what do we have that they don't? You know what I mean? We're shorter. We're quicker. They've got to bend down further to try and get the basketball if we keep it low. And if we box them out and they go over us and we do a good job being physical with them, how do they get that rebound without going over our back? There's always an excuse you can have. I understand that. But we don't really buy into those things. We're going to be quicker than them. They're going to be taller than us, Who's going to make the more shots on it? Are we going to box out, or are we just going to let them go down there and get free rebounds and put them up and in and dominate us on the glass because they're taller? I'm not a big excuse guy. I think people like that use excuses for everything. They're soft, in my opinion. Where's your competitive spirit? Where's your edge? That's where you got to have that little bit of a chip on your shoulder. You got to believe in yourself. If you're always the one giving everybody else all the credit, when do you have that moment where you don't even have to talk about it, but you got to believe that, hey, I'm important too. They got to worry about what I'm going to do in the game too, instead of just, oh man, they got this, they got that. Well, we got a lot of things too. And that's what I've been trying to tell the girls. Don't get so caught up on what they have. Focus on what we have and what we can do, and how you and what you do is going to make us even better that night. So, those are the things that we focus in on, and I don't really get caught up in what we don't have, because what we don't have, I don't care. I focus on what we do have.
Trying to get that message across, do you kind of try to stay away from the not the scouting report, but trying to focus on all the time in practice, this is what they do, this is what they do, this is what they do, and focus more on this is what we can do instead of trying to scout every day in practice? Because do you think that might send that mindset that we're a little bit too focused on what the other team can do?
I think at this point, my girls know what I expect. And it's a happy medium with that, because I believe as a coach, you have to tell your girls what's coming. This is what they do. This is how they do it. You have to go over that, and you have to emphasize why it's important, especially to box out and, different things that they have an advantage on and things that we have an advantage on. But the girls know that I'm not telling them that because I want them to be in fear or we don't have a chance because they have this, this, and this. They understand what we're coming at with. We're just being realistic. This is what we're going against. This is how they do this. This is what they run here. This is what they run here. this is what we're going to do to counter this and make sure we do these things to limit their opportunities. So to answer your question, yes, we address those things and we go over personnel, but we also with that go over tendencies. What does this girl like to do? What does this girl not do so well? So that way they have an advantage and they know what to expect and what those players like to do. But that's why we do the hours and hours of film that we do. So that way they have the best opportunity to be successful come game night.
You get to host the districts this year, a little bit different, no trips to Fitch. What's it kind of like being able to be in your home gym for a district game and to be in the familiar spots of Poland?
That's awesome because this is the fruits of their labor right here. I mean, they busted their butt year round. And I mean year round from the time this pandemic started and we were doing virtual things just to have some kind of off season up to this point. And to get that 2 seed and be able to host throughout, this may never happen again. I mean, I don't know if this will be the new norm or whether next year we're back at Fitch again, but to have an opportunity to play the districts on your very own home floor, that's pretty special. So we don't take that for granted either. I mean, we know this might be a one and done doing this way, but we want to try and make the most of it and do our best to get to Saturday night and play a district final on our own home floor. But we love being at home. The only thing we really miss is the crowd because our crowd over the years has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're getting like West Branch like. I mean, West Branch just has that following. Everywhere you go, it's a sea of green. And I'll miss that kind of atmosphere because I really believe this Wednesday especially – we would have that big game at home. Our place would be packed with blue and white. And I do miss those atmospheres because they are so much fun to play in, and you don't get that very often with, a full packed house. We always have decent crowds, but, this would have been a packed house. And, I do miss that. But, again, we know they'll be on YSN and watching, and we're excited and we're grateful for what you guys do too, so extended family and friends can watch as well.
Basketball tournament time – the word upset comes up a lot. You guys want to avoid the upset. But the social media question today is, in your opinion, what is the best upset in the sports world history? Do you have an upset that comes to mind when you think of all the great upsets that have happened in sports that really sticks in your head as the best one you've seen?
My favorite one, down 3-1 to the Golden State Warriors, and the Cavaliers come back to give Cleveland a championship. And me being a lifelong Cleveland guy, trust me, that was special, and that'll go number one for me, to be honest with you, because all my other ones are just depressing, like the drive and the fumble back in the 80s for the Brownies. So, but no, that's my upset special because down 3-1, especially, I never saw that one coming, and to win 3 in a row, that's got to take the cake for me, being a depressed Cleveland fan.
Aren't you so thankful that high school basketball isn't series? Best of 7, you have to go beat someone 4 times to advance.
Yeah, tell me about it. But yeah, I'll tell you what though, this is going to be fun too. These tournaments, I love high school tournament, college tournament. Even the other night, the Springfield Sebring boys game. I don't know the guy who did the commentary for YSN, but yeah, that's fun. You listen to him, man. He was into it. That's just a great moment. It stinks because being on the receiving end of that, I know that's a tough loss there for Springfield. And I could relate to that. That would be a gut wrencher there. But especially when it came to you could have had a share of the crown and everything else. But the excitement that was brought into that. There were so many people that don't know anything about Sebring basketball, me included. No, nothing. Couldn't tell you one of those kids' names. But man, was that an awesome game. Just to see the excitement, people jumping around, the commentary that was done. Tournament time, man. Anything can happen. I know that was regular season, but I just think that was just a setup for what's about to come in the next few weeks around the area and in college basketball. Anything can happen on any night. You can have the greatest record going, but you have to be better that night or your record means nothing.
And you've been on both sides of really thrilling wins, really, heartbreaking losses. From a coach's perspective, what's it like to kind of be in that atmosphere where it seems like everything is put under a microscope and the game kind of comes down to the last seconds and either you have the ball or you have to make a defensive stop?
Yeah, it's gut-wrenching. I'll be honest with you. You're always trying to second and third guess yourself. Like you put something in, you call it, and then sometimes that coach, you go back out on the floor and then they call a timeout or you call another timeout and you're what do I do? What do I do? And when it goes your way, it's like anything else. You feel great. And when it doesn't go your way, you hurt for the kids first. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've been on some back-breaking losses, and it's never been about me first. I know that, and especially tournament time, because somebody's season in most years ends, and you just feel for those kids that don't get to put that uniform back on, and you hurt for them because you know what they've been through since middle school coming up, and sometimes even earlier than that. And I dread those, and I hurt more for that because knowing it's over with that group. The relationship's never over. I still stay in contact, but it's never the same. And I guess maybe some people would listen to this and not understand what that means. But if you've coached, you know what that means. Like, it's never the same. And then next year it's your new puzzle. They just take a 1,000-piece puzzle and throw it all over the basketball court, and you start piecing it together with new kids, and you're excited for that journey. But you always just feel for those kids that aren't there anymore. And there's always those things that happen to make you think about them. And, it's special. So like I said, it's just, you fight to keep those kids in a uniform as long as you can.
It is a new puzzle this year, but when your season ends in a way like that, how much does that fuel you the next year and the kids that do come back, knowing what that feels like and kind of not wanting to feel that way again?
Yeah, and that comes down to the kids. I mean, coaches can only do so much. And I mean, believe me, I know we're responsible for a lot of the things that go on, but you can't coach heart. You can't coach desire. I mean, the kids, either it bothers them, or believe it or not, you'll have some they could care less. So what, we lost, and move on with their next day and go to their next sport and, do what they need to do. And some kids, it does fuel their fire. It's usually the great players where it fuels their fire. And, you go from there. That's what makes them great. They drive on that off season to have that moment and get back to that, spot they were in the previous year and go further. But like I said, that's what makes those people great. And we'll see. Every year, again, it's a different puzzle, and we'll see who fuels the fire, who wants in the gym, and who's a ghost, and you don't hear from them, and they'll come out late fall when fall sports are wrapping up, and they're like, hey, yeah, I'm going to play this year. Oh, that's good, because I haven't seen you all spring or all summer. So, that doesn't happen very often, thankfully, in our program, but I do know that it does happen in other programs more frequently, and those are the kids that, I don't know what you expect from me. I'm not a magician here, so you got to put in the time and effort, and just don't expect much, because I don't know what else to tell you. You didn't have an off season, and other kids came in here and busted their butt, and they got ahead of you. So it is what it is, man, but you can only do so much as a coach.
All right, Coach, good luck on Wednesday in the district semifinals. And definitely hope that you earn another episode of Coach's Corner to talk about the district championship on Saturday.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I hope so too. But even if I don't, I'd love to come back and do some hoops talk with you and root on them Raiders and get them to Saturday night, hopefully. And they do a great job, and we'll be rooting for them as well. And hopefully they represent the NE8 in a long, long time from now. That'd be great.
We'll find a way to get you on if you want to be on YSN for the basketball coverage either way. So we'll be good.
After all you guys do for our program, I would be happy and honored to be a part of it still.
Awesome, Coach. Well, once again, good luck on Wednesday, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thanks, Anthony.